they? Great to have your company tonight. Massive 100% footy. Cameron Smith here in the studio. Nice
Hello, Brace.
Cam. Michael Chemis.
Neil.
Always great to have you here in the studio as well, mate. And the top dog.
James Bracey, how you going?
Dog's still flying.
Only early, mate.
He started smiling before you said it this week.
I knew what he was going to say.
He's a happy man.
I knew what he was going to say.
So good. Look, we've got so much to jam in tonight. We forget what we learned from the weekend that was. We're going to get straight into the footy. The State of Origin teams have been named. That decided the match, as you heard from Rabs, Wednesday week to get it all underway at Suncorp Stadium. So the two teams announced. Billy Slater, of course, still at the helm of the Queensland side. 3 players set to debut in Billy's team, and you can see it there, led by that man, Daley Cherry Evans. The 20-year-old rooster, Robert Toya, is in the centres. Titan Beau Fermor and Storm forward Trent Liero gets a spot on the bench. So that Queensland side, very strong when you see it on paper. How will it all pan out against this Blues side that sees the return of Laurie Daley as coach of the New South Wales Blues? He's gone the way of Isaiah Yeo to skipper this team. Mitch Moses gets the job at 5/8 over Jerome Luai. 28-year-old dog Max King to debut. No room for Terrell May, no Turbo. His brother Jake, last year's skipper, wasn't considered after that nasty concussion on the weekend. So that's the lay of the land with both sides. We'll hear from Laurie Daley very soon, but right now I'm pleased to say that the Queensland coach and the captain join us, Billy Slater, Daley Cherry Evans from the Caxton Hotel tonight. Gents, great to have you on the show as always. DCE, I've got to ask, was it ever in doubt that whether or not you'd be here back wearing that Queensland kit alongside Billy again?
That's probably a question for the coach and the selectors, to be honest, Grace. I know my motivations and desire have been really strong to play this arena for as long as I possibly can. I've got so much love for the jersey and what it represents. So for as long as everything was tracking in the right direction when it comes to your form and your health, I always wanted to be here. There's no doubt about that.
Great to see you back, Ches, leading the team. Billy, what's the feeling camp like? I know you got a few fresh faces around the squad. Tell us about day one.
Yeah, it's been a bit of excitement actually, having the new faces and not just the debutants, but the guys sitting outside the team as well. You know, they're all new faces as well. So there's a bit of excitement around the place. Been a fair bit of work done at Suncorp Stadium in terms of, you know, getting the media content done and headshots and whatnot, getting all the gear fitted. You know, Kalen Ponga's still not in camp, so he's had a bit of a mishap with a flight being cancelled due to some weather down in Newcastle. So he'll make his way into camp tomorrow. But yeah, we don't get our camp really started until Wednesday. We'll knuckle down into our footy stuff and a bit of work to be done.
Billy, I want to ask you about Robert Toya. I remember Magic Round. He played really well against Herbie Farnworth, and I saw you talking to Nick Politis after the game. How long's he been on your radar, Robert Toya? I imagine, obviously, injuries have resulted in him making the team, but in terms of being on your radar, how long has that been?
Well, he scored a try in round one, Michael, and that probably, you know, sparked my attention towards him. You know, I know we like to look at the bright and shiny stuff, and he's certainly got that in his game because he's got so much talent, but that made me look a little bit deeper into his game, and he's got great work ethic, he's got great principles, and I know his Roosters coach has got a really high opinion of him in that part of the game. So, you know, when the opportunity arose, I didn't really hesitate. I threw his name straight out there to the selectors, and they concurred. And yeah, he's a wonderful athlete. He's still early in his career, but he's doing things at his age in terms of the principles of the game and the work ethic of the game that you would see from a 4 or 5 year player. And he's been through a little bit of adversity as well, and with that comes resilience. You can't buy that sort of experience, and unfortunately you go through it. But you know, when you do go through it and come out the other side, you become a better person and you have a bit more character about you. So yeah, looking forward to getting to work with Rob.
Cracking game in Game 3 last year, the decider up at Suncorp Stadium. Everyone loved that game. What did you take away from that game, Billy, that you might be working on for this year?
Well, it's important not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We got a lot right. You know, we just weren't quite good enough in the end, and we need to pick up on a few of those things, probably in particular around with the football. I think we'd like to have our time over again, but you know, you can't. But you get another opportunity the following year, and that'll be a part of the game that we'll go after.
Hey, Ches, tell us about the inclusion of Big Tino and Cam Munster back in the side. You were a little bit lean as far as leadership was concerned last year. How does that help you in your role as captain?
Yeah, good point, Smithy. I mean, Munster's probably someone that, through his early days was just known for a larrikin, but anyone who knows him and has watched him progress, he's not just a larrikin anymore, but he's genuinely a leader of a footy side. So he's definitely someone that I'll spend a lot of time with this week, make sure that we're connecting and trying to get the most out of this footy side when it comes to our footy. And Tino, I mean, he's already building this aura. When he walks into camp, you just know you're in safe hands. And he's someone that we missed last year, and he's a great addition to our squad. And yeah, both of these boys are going to add not just great footy, but great leadership to the side.
Billy, us grubs in the media, we're more interested in who doesn't get picked than who does get picked. I have to ask you about Selwyn Cobbo, the decision not to go with Selwyn. Can you shed some light on that decision and the thought process leading up to selection?
Yeah, well, obviously there was 3 games played yesterday, Michael, so, there was a bit of a, towards 6, 7 o'clock last night, just seeing who was healthy and who wasn't healthy. There was still a game in process, and we also had to get notification to all the players, and Selwyn had a bit of a wrist injury that forced him out of his position yesterday, and he was really carrying that throughout the game. After the game, we got a bit of word that it wasn't in great shape. He was still yet to get a scan on, which I believe he got one today, and we just had to make a decision. And like I spoke about before, I don't just watch 17 players leading into the Origin selection. I make sure that every Queensland player is taken notice of, and I dive into their game and look at the habits of their game. So when these things happen and you have to move, you can move with confidence.
Hey, fellas, that venue that you're at the moment, it looks pretty familiar. I think you're at the Caxton. Alfie Langer's not up on any tables behind you at all, is he?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, and he's still got his clothes on.
Yeah, he's got a fork and knife in his hand, so we might keep it that way.
He's ready to go. We'll let you guys rip in. Keep JT under wraps as well. Billy, Daley, great to catch up, and all the best in the lead up to the big one Wednesday week.
Thanks, gents.
Cheers, guys.
So good. The skipper and the coach joining us from the Caxton Hotel. What's on the menu, you reckon, Cam, tonight? Well, they usually get stuck into there.
A few steaks, steaks and veggies.
Yep.
Maybe
What about beverages?
a couple of beverages, maybe. I don't know. I haven't been in there for a long time, mate.
Please.
Water these days.
Now, while they might be set for some party tonight at the Caxton, right now the True Blues dinner is unfolding as we speak. It's a special night for one person in particular, our very own Paul Gallen, who joins us. Gal, looking good, mate. We'll get to your particular moment in the sunshine that's coming up later tonight. But leading into this, you've been going into this night tonight. Are the players there? Have you been you want to be a journo? I know that. You're getting any scuttle on the ground there from the team, Cam?
No, definitely no scuttle. I've seen the New South Wales females team, and I congratulated them and said, well done. Saw the coach, shook his hand and said, mate, great job. The Blues are up on stage at the moment. Said congratulations to all the boys, obviously making the team for game 1. It's going to be a fantastic game. Queensland's picked a great team, so have the Blues. And had a good chat to Laurie Daley, so yeah, but can't share too much of that. No scuttle at the moment.
Big night for you, induction into the Hall of Fame for the Blues. What does it mean to you, mate?
Oh, look, it's a real honour. As a kid, my 8-year-old self would be pinching himself. I'll never forget, I was at the Melton Street Hotel with my dad. I was in the car park at Auburn there, and a bloke walked out and threw me a footy. It was a New South Wales football, and it was the first football I'd ever been given. And from that moment on, New South Wales was my team. I never went for another NRL club. I never followed any NRL team. I just went for New South Wales. So my passion for the Blues, has always been there since a kid. And to be able to run out and play for New South Wales and captain them was an absolute dream come true. And to be able to stand here tonight and be inducted into the Hall of Fame, is absolutely awesome. But it brings back other emotions also. And obviously, played for the Blues for a long time. Unfortunately, lost 8 series in a row to someone who's in the studio there. And they were a fantastic team at the time, the Queenslanders. So, yeah, different emotions. I'm very, very happy, very, very proud, very, very honoured to be in this position. but it does bring up a few old wounds also.
Well deserved, mate. 2014. No one will ever forget that one. In particular yourself. And try and track down Maxi King out there tonight. Gus's favourite. He's the debutant for the Blues. What a story.
Yeah, he is. What a story. A couple of years ago, he was really struggling to get a club, I think, wasn't he? And the Dogs threw him a lifeline. Now have a go at him. He's absolutely playing outstanding rugby league. He's leading that club. He's been so good. And to get a Blues debutant jersey at 28 years of age, what a story. And thoroughly deserves it. And one other thing I've noticed, what I learned tonight was going to be, Gus, I've noticed you've also changed your Twitter profile once again. It's now a picture of Matt King. So I do keep an eye on you, mate. I do keep an eye. Make sure you're just on the straight and narrow.
Was that changed at midnight again?
Eh?
Like the previous one?
Oh, I couldn't change it till he was in the team. He got his jersey photo. Paul, I'm just looking at you there in your bow tie and everything.
Yeah.
When you retire from fighting, when you finally retire, whenever that is, you've got a bit of a future as a ring announcer, mate. You look like a boxing ring announcer there in your bow tie.
Thank you, Gus. I didn't know what to wear today, to be honest with you. So I was on the phone to TPH earlier, the producer of the show, and I said, do I wear a tie or a bow tie? And he said, mate, make sure you wear a bow tie. You're on TV tonight. I said, OK, I'll wear the bow tie. So this outfit is, I've got to give a bit of credit to TPH there.
You've got to at least wear it properly. It's hanging down off your neck, Gals. What's going on?
It's seen better days, that one.
My neck's bit fat, so I'm lucky to get it up. The top button is torched to get up. It chokes me. So just be happy it's in place.
All right, mate. Well, and all the best too tomorrow. I hear there's a press conference with you and your old mate SBW ahead of the big bout as well. So massive 24 hours for you, Gal. Well done tonight on the induction, mate. Enjoy the spoils.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Good on you. The G train on the blue carpet there at the True Blues dinner tonight. Still a lot to get through. We've got more Origin action coming your way. The Blues coach, Laurie Daley, is going to join us. He's back in the Blues fold. And can he right the wrongs of a past campaign? He's got Mitch Moses in the 6 jersey alongside that man. All that and so much more. Here to come. 100% footy on 9.
The series is alive and Suncorp is waiting. The Blues have won.
What they did tonight here was really poor.
They were never in that game.
There were no positives in that second half.
We can't use Suncorp as a saviour.
And the Blues are having a party. It's an avalanche!
Don't you come back no more.
Michael Maguire has wasted no time.
Axing James Tedesco.
It's a massive decision from the coach.
I'm sure a lot of people will be talking about who's not there, and that certainly won't be our focus.
Dylan Edwards, I think, congratulations.
6 Blues debutants.
Jake Trbojevic, captain of the New South Wales Blues.
It's great honour, like very, very proud. They left Tedesco out.
Tedesco!
Dylan Edwards, he'll be out for 2 weeks.
James Tedesco was given a Blues lifeline. He's ready.
Feels great. It was a bit of a wild 24 hours. Obviously, I'm disappointed for Dylan how it's happened. It's a good opportunity for me. Yeah, I'm just excited to be back. You never know what can happen.
Reece Walsh hasn't moved in back play. He's gone for the night. Oh, he said,
Oh, wow.
There's Queenslanders everywhere. Take your pick. The Hammer. Jerry Evans. An extraordinary bit of football. What a win for Queensland.
Joey, would you be making many changes?
Well, the first one, Latrell just has to come in.
Walked in, the team that they've got, I'm just with a bit of an aura about it.
I'm picking the team that is going to go out and perform.
So you're not panicking, not concerned?
No, Danny. No, mate. Well, you've got to make sure you don't live in glass houses.
And Mitchell Latrell's back in the big time.
Latrell Mitchell ruled out of this game 3.
When you get to this stage, quality goes out and quality comes in.
Look, we'll deal with whatever they put in front of us.
Selwyn Cobbo is still not seeing eye to eye with the Queensland coaching staff. That'll be denied by Billy Slater at a media conference tomorrow, but the mail is good.
I actually haven't seen Selwyn more happy. Now, I don't know where that's come from, but totally fake news. We've earned the opportunity to play in a decider, and there's no more second chances for both teams.
The decider's off. May the best state win. Haas rumbling back. Oh, hard defence. Oh, Bears has lost it as well. Oh, and now Luai and Cherry Evans are into it. And Queenslanders are coming in from everywhere. It spills over onto the bench. It's turning very
Jeremiah, you're over the top there. That's unacceptable at any level, all right? In the bin for 10 minutes.
No.
Cameron Murray, he's on the bench. If he's involved, he's going to be a send-off.
This is the biggest overreaction in Origin history.
There's no need for you to get involved. In the bin for 10 minutes.
He dummies his way through the line and gets to Edward. There's a couple of firebrands there. Laurie, he cuts them on the left. Luai's in the backfield. He gets the ball to Bradman. Bradman Best breaks away. Bradman Best with a third Origin try. And one of the great efforts. Moses straightens off the left. Moses has scored for New South Wales. The siren sounds. The Shields heading back to Sydney.
There's been a few positions that we've been unsure with, only because there's been such a dearth of talent. So we just wanted to take our time to make sure that we pick the best available and the best team that was fit and the best team we think can win in game one. And we're very confident that we've got the right balance. I just feel like Mitch is in great form. I think that he and Nathan can combine really well. Kicking games in Origins are so important. You can have a poor set, but you can get away with it if you kick strong. And Mitch is great with his communication. He's got a great running game.
I mean, Nate's going to control the team. I mean, we'll have to sit down and see how that's going to work. And we've got a few ideas and a few thoughts on how we're going to play. And
the two games we played last year, Game 2 and Game 3, was exceptional. Just being able to play alongside him this year, it's something I'm really looking forward to.
I think he's one of the best front rowers in the game, if not the best. But Origin tosses up a lot of different things, and we're hoping that he can play. Hopefully the scan will see nothing there, and he'll be right to come down to Sydney and start preparing. I think Max's actions as a footballer go unnoticed by a lot of people, but it doesn't go unnoticed by the coaching staff. The Dogs move the ball to the left, they dropped it. I think Philip Sami picks it up, runs 80 metres, gets tackled. The Titans move the ball to the left. The next person who made that tackle was Max King. So that's an action that I look for. To me, that's a guy that cares about his team, cares about his teammates, and that's the type of player I want.
I just take everything as it comes, mate, and sort of pinch me moment. It's only been a couple of hours in camp, but just blessed to be here.
We're looking for Latrell to be Latrell, and in this environment he will be. We all know what he's capable of doing. Well, when I spoke to him last night, he just gave me confidence. The sound in his voice, very upbeat, and I'm sure that he'll be in for a big game. But we're going to be better than what we were last year, and we will be.
There's some determination in those eyes, isn't there? Laurie Daley back in the fold as Blues coach as they look to defend the shield they claimed under Michael Maguire last year, and I'm pleased to say the Blues coach joins us now here on 100% Footy. Loz, great to have you on the show. I heard you say a few times before you never thought you'd be back in this role, but here you are, the true Blues ditty. You've announced your team for game one. How's it feeling?
Yeah, it's great. It's been a busy day. I forgot how much media is involved in the build-up to a State of Origin contest, but very happy to be a part of it. We think we've picked the really good side, but we know what awaits us up there at Suncorp Wednesday week.
Loz, do you feel any pressure coming in this year off the back of a series victory, or you're just looking at the team and the squad now and looking to build on what they achieved in 2024?
Yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it, Cam. Just, we've got to be better because I know that Queensland will be. It's a powerful team. Tino's back into that squad, and any football team that he plays in makes it better. So we know the challenge up there. But, yeah, I think it's all about trying to be better than what we were last year because I know if we just play as well as we did last year, we're not going to get the result.
Lozzie, welcome back. Nathan Cleary didn't play in last year's series. Massive addition for the team. I'm wondering, did you have a chat with Nathan in the lead-up about the makeup of this team, his halves partner? What was your conversations like with Nathan in the lead-up to that team selection?
Yeah, no, I didn't have a discussion about the 5/8 partner. I just thought it'd be too much pressure on Nathan to make that decision. But the style of footy we want to play, it will suit Mitch. The combination of Nathan and Jerome has worked really well for Penrith, and it was hard to dismiss. But the way that I want to play and the way I think we can play will suit Mitch and Nathan, that combination, better.
There's a few question marks around Payne Haas and that quad injury, Loz. Have we got an update on his health?
Yeah, the good news, Smithy, is he came down to Sydney because I think if the scan had been really bad, then he wouldn't have made it down. He would have been ruled out.
Yep.
So he is in camp. He's not at the function here tonight. He's getting treatment. So again, it's a matter of trying to settle it as quickly as we possibly can, and we'll give him enough time. How long we'll give him, we're unsure, but we'll give him every opportunity to be right.
Laurie, a lot of preparation goes into these Origin series, and you've got watching a lot of games, doing selections, doing media and everything. You finally come into camp for day one. One of the questions I used to ask myself sometimes is, am I ready? I'm worried about everyone else being ready, about the camp being right and everything for the players, getting the right team, but then am I ready? Are you ready? I mean, you don't coach on a weekly basis. You haven't done for some time, talking to teams, talking about strategy. Then it's going to get down to half-time talks and all those sort of things as well. How well prepared are you?
Yeah, no, I'm extremely well prepared. Been getting out to a lot of football games, spending a bit of time in boxes, and we're lucky that we've got a lot of experience in and around our coaching setup. Craig Bellamy will be an enormous influence on the night on us younger coaches. Matty King has been part of the Roosters system for a long period of time. Dean Young's been a head coach, so I know what we'll face. I know the decisions that we'll have to make in a coach's box and how quickly you've got to make them. But no, I think I'm coach ready and ready to go.
Loz, I just wanted to ask you about Terrell May. A lot of talk about him not being picked, been fabulous for the West Tigers this year. I want to ask you as a coach two questions. One, what do you see when you're looking at a team and making the decision not to pick Terrell? And two, did that incident with him making the comments about chucking the New South Wales jersey in the bin have any bearing on your decision whatsoever?
Yeah, the second part of that question, no, it was no reason why he wasn't picked, but just the actions I was looking for from my other front rower, Max suited what I wanted to do. Canterbury have had a lot of injuries this year to their forward pack, and one constant's been Max King, and Max does things that go unnoticed by a lot of people. He's a different style of front rower to a number of guys. But what he does is selfless acts for the team. And in this type of football, we've got enough game breakers, but we need people who are prepared to work hard, fight hard, and do all the little things well. And under pressure, that holds up. And if you're doing it club-led, you'll do it at Origin-led.
Hey, Loz, you said Bellyache's going to be around the team this week and be there game day. Are you going to let him go in the coach's box during the game, or has he got a ban? Because we've all seen his antics up there in the coach's box throughout the games.
Well, we got a big cheer today in our first sort of meeting. It was all sort of a bit, heavy and excited, and you're talking to the players, and then I said, boys, and if you don't train well, I said, Craig's ready to give you almighty spray. So they had a bit of laugh out of that, and they want one. They were going, yeah, bring it on, Bellyache, bring it on. So that was a good moment in itself.
Loz, welcome back to the New South Wales Origin coaching fold, mate, and all the best in the lead up to the opener in Brisbane on Wednesday week, mate.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Cheers.
Good on you. Laurie Daley joining us from the True Blues dinner tonight as the Blues can let their hair down a little before the game faces are on. Gus, what do you make of the team that Laurie's announced in his return?
It's a strong team. The strength of this is probably why the players that missed out, on it. So, and he's got plenty of depth right through the series for injuries or losses of form, but it's a team that can win. As I said, I think that the important part about going to Suncorp Stadium is to respect that fact, respect what Queensland are going to be like, and to make sure you go there with a strategy. Make sure you're going there with a plan. It's not just about the Origin courage and the Origin work ethic and all those sort of things. We overspeak that a lot. You're not going to out-courage Queensland. You're not going to outwork them, but you need a strategy and you need something to believe on. You're going to fall back under pressure because that's where they're going to need it most. And they're well served. I think a lot of these players are in good form. I think a lot of them are in better form, club form, than the Queenslanders are. I think there's a few Queenslanders that are struggling at club level. I think this is a winning team. I think they'll get the job done.
No Turbo, but no outcry over that because it's a pretty stacked side as it is, and he's clearly not 100% fit.
No, and you can see that in the games that he's played for the most part of this year. You know, he's had the knee heavily strapped for the last, 4 or 5 games that he's played, and he just doesn't look quite right physically, does he, Turbo?
No.
You know, and it's a big risk taking. Look, everyone knows he's a class player. He's an elite player, but it's a huge risk taking someone in that isn't 100% fit, and he's clearly not that. It's a strong side that Loz has picked, particularly when you look at the outside backs. They do a lot of hard work coming out of their own end. Brian To'o, as we know, he's a massive meter eater. Zach Lomax, 1 game back from, a Footy issue, was outstanding on the weekend for Parramatta. He was great for the Blues last year as well. So, yeah, they got a powerhouse back line, or sort of outside backs. The one X factor for him is obviously Latrell. He's been playing fullback for the Bunnies, but hasn't spent a lot of time in the centres. He's a moments player though, Latrell. He's not going to be at the Queenslanders for 80 minutes. So for Queensland, they need to be good at reducing his moments, or the moments that they allow him to have, and be prepared that when the ball comes his way and he puts his hand up to have an impact, they got to be prepared to stop him.
So if he's New South Wales' X factor, and he probably is, he's got some point of difference to every other player.
Yeah.
Explain to me the decision to pick a rookie and Robert Toya to mark him.
Well, I think in Billy's press conference earlier today, he spoke about the matchup that the Roosters had against the Rabbitohs, and he did a fair job on him that night. So I think that's what Billy's very excited about with the Robert Toya selection, is that defensively he's very sound. He's got a great build on him. He's strong. He's physical. He's pretty aggressive. And I think that's what gives him a lot of confidence, putting him in there. There's no better opportunity for a young man to get out there and mark up on someone like Latrell Mitchell. It's a big job, huge job. There's probably no bigger job in the game opposing him at centre.
And what do you think the thinking is with Reuben Cotter starting on the edge?
Well, I think he would have started in the middle, Gus, if Tom Gilbert hadn't suffered that injury, that pec injury. But I just think the utility value that Reuben brings. He's played and started in the back row for Queensland before. I think he actually won Player of the Series. 2 of those 3 games he actually played in the back row, or started in the back row. So, he's got a fair bit of versatility. I can't see Reuben Cotter playing 80 minutes in the back row. You look at Bo Famor's there. Trent Liero can play in the back row as well. So, I think there'll be some reshuffling of that footy side.
The big X factor here is Cameron Munster. He didn't play in last year's series. And
Tino's a big in too, Gus.
Yeah.
Tino.
Yeah.
I think he brings a fair bit of physical presence for the Maroons. They missed those 2 players dearly last year.
Just want to ask you about Max King. I know you've changed your Twitter profile, but his emergence over the last few years. 24 months ago, people were laughing at the Bulldogs pack, and he was your main man. Now, you're top of the table, he's in Origin, and it's been one hell of a ride for him. Can you explain the emotions as someone who oversees the club in that overhaul, seeing someone like Max King set to make his debut?
I rang him last night. My first words were I got a tear in my eye because Maxie's been on quite a journey with the Bulldogs. He came to us it was probably the first player that I signed back in 2021 at the end of the COVID. And Max, I think at the time, had been down at the Melbourne Storm. He'd suffered an Achilles injury, and he was like out for 12 months. They just couldn't get it right. He couldn't get the injury right at all. And I actually got a note from a fella he was working with at Newcastle, and they were training up there. And his manager rang, and I said, "Yeah, look," I said, "we can get him right." I said, "We'll bring him down and put him on contract." And we gave him an opportunity, and it was during COVID. Because if you remember, then you couldn't drive anywhere and go anywhere. And him and his dad were sneaking down in the middle of the night from Newcastle down to Sydney, so you weren't allowed in Belmore, so we had to get him rehabbed and look after him, and it took ages, but that would have been around about August, September.
It was like 18 months he was out, I think.
Yeah, he was out for a long time, and I remember I was leaving Belmore one day. It was around about Christmas time that year in 21, and I noticed there was a player out on the field, and I drove around just to watch, and it was Max King. And it was his first run on grass for a long time. Wow. And he actually got to the end of the field, and I bipped the horn, and he put a thumbs up. And he's just kept getting better and better since that time. 2 years ago, when we had a really struggling year, and we had a lot of injuries and the results weren't going well, he played the whole season with a terrible sternum injury. He lost a lot of weight. He couldn't do weights week to week. He backed up every week. He played with injury every week. People didn't realise what he was. And that was the character stuff that knew we had a winner and we had a leader in the club. And he played through that difficulty. He's got better troops around him now, and you can see what he is. And he's a fit, healthy young man, and he deserves his spot. He's born for this, and he'll do a very good job.
Over 500 days between his 50th and his 51st match, and this is the reward, a State of Origin berth for Game 1 at Suncorp Stadium. Stay with us. The Gouldfather and the Goats right on the other side of this break. You're watching 100%. Father.
Every week I look older on that.
And the Goats.
I think they're doctoring the photo.
It's so morbid, but I love it. A lot to get through on this. Outside of Origin, we are going to touch on Origin very soon. But two teams seriously in the crosshairs coming out of the weekend that was Michael Maguire and the Broncos. They've lost 5 of their last 6, Cam.
Yep.
The latest against the Dragons. And it was at Suncorp Stadium, which used to be a happy hunting ground for them.
Yeah.
Where's the fix here?
Well, I'm not too sure, because if you look back to the way they started the season, they look pretty sharp, and people are saying, well, okay, Madge has gone up there, he's made a huge difference to their preparation, he's given them a heart and edge, but the last, what did you say, 5-6 weeks?
Yep.
It's not great watching at all for Broncos fans.
And on paper, it's a team that should be winning.
Yeah, well, that's rugby league though, isn't it? There's a lot of great teams on paper, but you got to make it count when you get out there on the field, and the Broncos just aren't making it count at the moment. They're putting themselves in great positions throughout a lot of these matches that they've lost. Like, they've had opportunities to win games, but they're struggling to find ways to continue momentum, to make the most of the opportunities that they create for themselves. And when things start to go against them a little bit, they struggle to find answers.
They head into the bye now, Gus. What should the approach be from Madge and the coaching squad?
Yeah, look, there's a thing in most professional sports, but particularly football, where we compare systems with talent, and we think the system beats talent every time. I think the Broncos rely heavily on talent. Talent can get you through to a grand final. Talent can also see you run second last in a competition. It's just how it works, unless you've got system. Now, the man at the end of the table was the greatest system player the game has ever seen, with probably one of the greatest system clubs, the Melbourne Storm, who had a system and a culture and a principle-based game that stood the test of time and stood under all pressure. The Broncos just haven't developed that in their persona and in their character and in their football. Talent, they can beat anyone. They can go out and score 40 points in a half of football because they've got talent. They scored tries on the weekend because they've got talent, but their system breaks down under pressure.
They haven't got Origin to blame coming into this period either if things still stay right. Was it Paddy Carrigan, Payne Haas? Outside of that, it's pretty lean there as well. So maybe there is an opportunity here for Brisbane to actually, in a rare scenario, gain some momentum at this time of year.
Well, there is, Brace, and particularly with Ezra Mam coming back on the weekend, he was the Broncos' best player. I think he set up 3, scored 1 himself, was in the thick of the action for pretty much the entire game. So great to see Ezra back and playing well. He served his time on the sideline, 9 weeks it was. 1 game in reserve grade, of course, but I think it was a pleasant surprise for everyone watching that game to see how well he come back. I think with the Broncos, there just needs to be a bit of accountability. Not a bit, sorry. I should say a lot of accountability from the players. Yep. A lot of the talk you hear about, talking about the Broncos when they fail to win these games, you look back over the last few years, right? So Anthony Seibold, too technical. Kevin Walters, wanted to be everyone's friend. Now Madge, he's too strict, he's too hard. Yep. Forget about that, boys. Go and play football. Yep. They're all talented footballers. They're all NRL players. Just get out there and get the job done. So it's Madge with the headache in Brisbane and Newcastle. It's Adam O'Brien, Gus. His side, from their last 8 matches, they've won 1. The latest was against Parramatta, the early kick-off on Friday night. Is there a fix for this team? Well, it's the same thing. I mean, there's talent in the team. It's a little bit confusing as to why they're struggling to score points the way they are. They're really finding it hard to compete, and once they get a couple of tries down, it starts to get into their head, it gets into their body language, it gets into the way they play. And again, the cheapest thing is to be blaming the coach or putting out rumours that things aren't happy. That usually happens in losing situations.
It comes down to the team and the players. It comes down to the system. It comes down to what they can believe in and what they can execute. And right at the moment, they just look like they look lost. They look like a lost football team, again, without a personality.
And the halves situation just hasn't helped either as well. I mean, you see Dylan Brown playing against his future team the other night, and he was having a bit of fun out there, but that's next year. That's not now. The chopping and changing, it only hurts.
No, that's right. But Adam O'Brien came out and spoke about last year. He was criticised for chopping and changing, which it happened on numerous occasions throughout the year. This year, he's tried to stick with a couple of players in that number 6 and 7 jersey, and there's criticism again. So he feels as though that, you know, what he does is, whichever way he goes in that half situation, he's copping some flack. But they're a strange team, Newcastle. I've called a few of their games this year, and at times, you know, when they're at their very best, they can compete with every team in this competition. But when they're not at their best, there's such a big gap. You know, the drop-off from their best football to their worst football, there's such a huge gap, and you just can't afford to show up like that every week, right? When you're playing in this competition, your best is here and your worst is there. You have to try and minimise that gap between those two.
And now, no Kalen Ponga with Origin this weekend. They go to Bathurst to play Penrith. No Bradman Best with the hamstring.
Well, you know, Origin could freshen Kalen Ponga right up. He comes in and has a big series. That could benefit Newcastle when that comes back, because he'll have plenty of confidence and he'll want the ball in his hands. And once he's played in the Origin series, he'll come back to club football and that'll feel very much easier for him. So I think they should be glad that he's off to Origin for this little period here. It might freshen him up and get his juices flowing. The Knights, you know, there are games there where I think they're trying real hard in defence, but this frustration of not being able to post points, not being able to come up with an attacking game that puts pressure on the opposition, really eats away at them over the period of the 80 minutes, and it's eating away week to week now. You know, they just got to push through it. There's no one going to get you out of this. Mind you, I thought Parramatta were really good on the weekend. I thought they played well. They're getting better every week, so give them some credit too. But the Knights are in a hole, and there's only one way to get out of it. Let's work together. Get it done.
Michael Chemis returning a little later on with Scuttlebutt Central, and got a bit of scuttle surrounding Kalen Ponga. So
really,
stay around for that one a little later. Now, time to talk some Origin. We've talked plenty of it with the coaches and players, etc. But the final word from you guys as they head into camp. Well, the big show next Monday night at Suncorp Stadium to preview it. But why is Queensland going to win the opener at home, Cam?
Well, I think they would have learned a lot from last year. If you think back to, game 2, they were embarrassed. Yeah, that was a big deficit against the Blues. Then they showed up at home. And look, I thought Game 3 was one of the best Origins I've seen in a long time. And I was lucky enough to play in a few. Been out of the Origin scene for quite some time now. It had everything. And if you think back to it, it was 2-0 at half-time. 4-all with 15 minutes to go. And it took 2 brilliant plays from Mitch Moses and Jerome Luai to get the Blues across the line. So there wasn't much between the two sides. And I think particularly losing that decider at home, I think that would have stung a lot of the players. I know it stung the coach. There's no doubt about that. And I reckon he's been thinking about it for about 12 months, Brace. So there's no doubt that Billy, he'll have this team well prepared, as will the Blues. Yep. But I just think, some lessons learned from last year, particularly in the preparation. I just think they'll be tip-top, ready to go.
To the other side of things, Gus, why are the Blues winning the opener?
Yeah, I've got a great deal of respect for the fact that the first game's in Brisbane. I think that, that's a challenge that's always up for every Blues team.
Yep.
I always say you haven't experienced Origin until you've experienced it in Brisbane. It's a different animal up there. And Queensland will know the importance of this first one. This is their only home game of the series. It's number one. They won't want to go down one in the series. So this will be the biggest challenge for New South Wales. I hope New South Wales just don't rely on, courage and heart and all those things we talk about with Origin. They've got to have a strategy. They've got to have a game plan. They've got to stick to it. And I think that there are some issues with this Queensland side that they can exploit, but they're not going to exploit them if they just go up there and play club football. They've got to go out and play Origin football. They've got to have a strategy, and they've got to have something that they can focus on and rely on under pressure. And if they do that, I think they'll be too good. If they haven't got the strategy, if they haven't got, some principle based to what they're trying to do on the night, then Queensland and Suncorp will overwhelm them. It will eventually crack them, and it's happened so many times before. You go there without a strategy, you go there just trying to be tough and trying to be Origin players, it's nowhere near enough. You've got to have a strategy, and that's where New South Wales need to get it right.
All right, so the following night, right after the men's opener, is the women's finale in Newcastle too. The Blues sweeping the series, Gus?
3-0, baby. 3-0.
That's
no
it.
doubt.
No doubt. Never in doubt.
Well, they've been super impressive, the Blues. They really have.
It's amazing when you think about the fact that they haven't played it. You know, they've had to create their own footy to play in camp.
Yes.
To get themselves primed for this.
Yeah, the build-up, the preparation brace, isn't it? They had no lead-up games for it, so both sides had squads where they played pretty much in-house games against one another for the final selection. And I don't know, I just think looking at the preparation that the Blues have had and the way that how fast they look, how powerful they look, they're a big football side. They're full of athletes from 1 to 17. They just look like they're a bit more physically prepared for the battle. And it was quite ironic watching that game too, coming off the loss in Queensland for the Maroons. I'm thinking, this is deja vu. This is exactly like last year. Queensland will get a win and we'll tie it up and we'll go to game 3. But once again, New South Wales way too strong.
I think they showed their mettle. I mean, as you say, they won the first game last year and then lost the next 2. They won the first game this year comfortably. Then they're down 6-0 after a few minutes in the second game. Mentally, that could have cracked them. They really were patient. They took their time. Took them 18 minutes to get on the board with Samaima Taufa. After that, it was pretty much one-way traffic. I think the underestimated part of this, the athleticism and the physicality of the New South Wales girls is really showing out in defence. Queensland is struggling to get line breaks and score points, and that's eating away at them because once they get sort of 2 tries behind, they lose contact with the result. This girl, Olivia Koenig, has been absolutely outstanding. What a player she is. I just think they're too well prepared at the moment, and they've probably got a little bit of an edge talent-wise, and that's a good time to be going through. They don't want to waste that. You've got to go out and win 3-0. Don't give Queensland a sniff. Have them wondering about it all summer, trying to find some new players for next year. Don't give them any incentive.
Well said, Gus. Love it. We had a bit of everything in Goodfather and the Goat tonight. I can see Michael Chemis lurking in the shadows. He's ready to go with Scuttlebutt Central. That's right after the break here. 100% footy. You're huge.
We can do without Scuttlebutt.
Oh, no. We're talking Origin. We're talking everything. Got to have Scuttle. See you in a sec.
You got to speak for us, Gus. You know something.
I might be wrong. Why was this?
Well, he can only be done with the dogs then if he's dealing in facts.
Don't stop me.
Scuttlebutt Central. Michael Chemis with the latest news from around the grounds. Chemi, Kalyn Ponga and the Newcastle Knights. What's the latest out of the Hunter?
Well, it's a bit of news out of Newcastle and around, obviously, the way they're playing at the moment. A lot of questions being asked about the future of Adam O'Brien, first of all, because there was suggestion perhaps that the Newcastle Knights were sharpening the knives. They're not playing well. We're making a lot of calls around the Knights. Now, they're not going to move on Adam O'Brien anytime soon. The talk out of Newcastle is he's safe until the end of the season. They do not want to pay him out. It's $2 million, maybe even a little bit more. He's got a full payout at the Knights. There are alarm bells ringing around the way they are playing. But he will be given till the end of this year to turn it around with the Knights. They've made the finals 4 of the last 5 years. It's been a little bit of a trend, though, and that's the concerning thing. They start the year slow, then he builds towards the back end of the year, gets into the finals. Everyone thinks all is well, and then it resets the following year. They struggle. But at the moment, Adam O'Brien will be given till the end of the season. They'll reassess. Where it gets interesting with Kalyn is Newcastle in the background are worried about what this means for the future of Kalyn Ponga. Nothing has happened yet, and they'll deny it, but there is definitely a feeling at Newcastle that Kalyn Ponga, if things continue the way they're going, may come knocking at the end of the year looking for the exit door. So that's the main concern around the Knights, is how do they create an environment here where Kalyn Ponga doesn't think that he's wasting his best years at the Newcastle Knights. He's contracted through till the end of 2027. It's a long time, but the Knights are aware their main man, he needs to be given and shown that things are going to turn around at Newcastle, and it doesn't look like that at the moment with the way they're playing.
All right, so the Knights currently sit in 15th, back in 17th on the ladder last, the Gold Coast Titans.
It's unfortunate for Des Hasler the way they're playing. And we know what came out in the media a couple of weeks ago. Michael Carianis on the Telegraph reported about the clauses in his contract, that if he didn't make the top 8, that he wasn't guaranteed next season. The interesting part about this is there is a feeling that perhaps that's put unnecessary pressure. The fact this came out, it's put unnecessary pressure on Des and undermined him. Now, there's a push for the power brokers at the Gold Coast Titans at the moment to actually remove that clause from the contract and give Des the stability and the show of faith that he can continue to do his job there and rebuild that club. Now, it's my understanding that it's looked favourably upon, removing that clause. Spoke to the Titans today, they wouldn't comment about it, but time will tell. My understanding is that's what they're thinking of doing, to show Des Hasler they're backing him until the end of his tenure, which is the end of next year.
What do you make of the Titans, Gus?
You know what I make of it. They've got huge talent. Look, all this, Newcastle, Titans, always talk about the teams that are struggling. All you have to do is win some games. You win some games, all this goes away. Scuttlebutt goes away, Chamis goes away, everything goes away. You just got to win some games. Knuckle down and win some games. Simple, isn't it?
Problem is they're struggling to do that. Next item on the list, you've got two names here, and I'm loving this: Spencer Leniu, Latrell Mitchell.
Yeah, New South Wales camp today. We know that Latrell is on a self-imposed media ban. He hasn't spoken this year. I've joked with Latrell about it. He wants to concentrate on his footy, let his footy do the talking, and his footy has been doing the talking. He looks fit, he looks good. But today at New South Wales Blues media, every player was up. Spencer Leniu and Latrell Mitchell, though, they didn't do media. Spencer Leniu informing the Blues that he didn't want to talk. He hasn't spoken since that incident with Jonathan Thurston on the sideline at Suncorp Stadium, and doesn't intend to. I spoke to some people at South Sydney yesterday because the NRL are looking at Latrell Mitchell because he hasn't spoken all year. Souths are okay with it. They're happy for Latrell to go on not talking to the media, to focus on his footy, and if they get fined, well, so be it, they'll deal with it, because Latrell is adamant right now. He doesn't want distractions, and this is the path he wants to go down. And I don't know what your thoughts are, Gus, on this situation. I know the media pay a lot of money. Are you okay with the way that players can dictate whether or not they talk? Because Latrell seems to be doing his talking with the footy at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think they're allowed to do it.
Well, that's my...
I don't think they're allowed to have media bans. They've got obligations. It's in their contracts.
Then the result will be a fine then?
What sort of
fine?
fine?
Probably. Obviously, they're not worried about the fine, but no one from the NRL's coming down on it.
It's probably a precedence thing, because now Spencer's decided.
Well, this
that
is the
he's
thing.
not talking.
Then the snowball builds and builds and builds. All of a sudden, you've got a player boycott from all the broadcasters, whether that's TV, radio, or anyone.
Particularly Origin.
Yep. It's all part of it. Anyway.
I mean, they made me talk to everyone.
I don't think anyone's making you talk.
Oh, please. Please. Anything out of the Roosters tonight?
Yeah, some breaking news out of the Sydney Roosters. The young gun, the prop forward, Nafahu White, set to sign a 3-year extension with the Roosters until the end of 2029. Is contracted at the moment until the end of 2026, but free agent come November 1. The Roosters, they didn't want him to hit free agency. They know the Bears are coming into the competition, and they have tied Nafahu White down on a deal. I'm told it's worth around $750,000 a year. That's the final year of the broadcast deal. Then there'll be ratchet clauses. Obviously, we don't know what the salary cap's going to be in 28 and beyond. So it's a huge deal, a guy with a lot of potential, and the Roosters feel like he's going to be their main man going forward.
Everyone's worried about your Bears coming in to steal all the players. Have you been working the phones, John?
Got a lot of spots to fill.
You've been working the phones?
Yeah, just keep
Director Bracey
keeping the
over
finger
here.
on the pulse.
I notice you around the dressing rooms a lot on game day.
Please. It was a Bear Park yesterday. Wrong result, though, against the
What do you
Dragons.
think of Nafahu White, though, Gus? He's a player with a lot of promise.
Always liked him.
Yeah.
Always liked Nafahu. Developing into a really strong player.
It wouldn't be a scuttlebutt segment without Lachlan Galvin's name on the list.
What do you want to know?
Oh, you tell me. What should I know?
Well, there's a board meeting today. Now,
did they decide whether or not that's going at the end of the
That's what you were going to ask me. That's the question. The Tigers are remaining tight-lipped. So give you context around this. Last week, the story reported, Danny Wilder and myself, that Lachie Galvin was going to be the subject of a board meeting today on the back of Isaac Moses, Lachlan Galvin's agent, requesting from the club permission to begin negotiating with rival clubs early. Now, he's unable to speak to rival clubs until November 1, even though he's informed the Tigers that he won't be there. The feeling out of the Tigers was that they were probably going to give him permission to look around. Doesn't mean he has a release, a permission granted for a release. What it does then do, gives the manager time, when they do decide, if they do decide, gives them time to come back with potential options, because the Tigers want something in return, whether that be financially, whether that be in the form of a player swap or a player. They want something in return. The Tigers, they're remaining tight-lipped. They're not talking after today's board meeting, but you can imagine at some point, given the legal ramifications in the background, the Tigers may give in and give permission for Lachie to test the market. Doesn't guarantee his release, though.
All right. As always, we watch and see what happens.
Appreciate it.
No leaks out of the Tigers, though, Jamie?
No, mate. Not today.
It was like a sieve with you back in the day. Things have changed, eh? Now, our cash converters conversion of the week. We couldn't go past this one, Gus. Going back to this Friday night special, this is after the Nwanganita-Wasa.
What's Fittler doing cheering on the opposition? What does he think he is?
They were giving it to him, and goodness, it was fun. The Doggies fans, no love lost there.
But what's Fittler doing? He's supposed to be unbiased.
It's anything but on
Former
Friday.
Rooster great, cheering the kick home.
Is it true he turned around and said, "But I coached Lebanon" to the fans?
He did say that to the fans.
I love it.
Brad said that.
I love it.
He did.
Well done,
It
Brad.
was all good-hearted banter, I believe.
It was a lot of fun. I cannot do enough Dogs games at the moment. You get there's an atmosphere, whether there's 10 people or 10,000.
There's never 10 people anymore.
No, not anymore. The Top Dogs made sure of that with his team. Stay with us. More to come after the break. Our Tab Top 3. And, of course, we'll cast more attention towards Origin 2025 series right around the corner. Welcome back. Time for our Tab Top 3. And after what we saw unfold over the weekend, how could we not do top tries from the round that was? And tell you what, Gus, watching the Raiders, it's always entertaining. And this one of the elite team tries.
Incredible, wasn't it? Went through a number of sets of hands and, you know, football these days, it gets into passages where the players can just express themselves freely and throw the ball around like this, and this is what brings the crowds to its feet. Xavier Savage is on the end of this one, but it was pulsating just to keep the ball alive and keep it moving. The defence was doing its best, and there's Xavier on the end of it. Does it pretty comfortably in the end and scores a great team try.
Well, from one Xavier to another, as well as we see how this all unfolds. And actually, the kick just perfect here as well too, Cam.
Tommy Starling, yep, lovely. Well, Xavier Savage, I called this game yesterday afternoon. He just put the arm out.
Bang.
Said, kick it out there in front of me, I'll get it. Incredible.
So from Savage to Coates.
Yes.
We talk about how the Melbourne Storm spent a bit of time with AFL teams and it paid dividends.
He is a highlight reel. Xavier Coates. I hope he gets a couple of those next Wednesday. That'd be lovely for Queensland. But that takes a tremendous amount of skill and timing, athleticism. That would come close to winning Mark of the Year in the AFL. I'm telling you, incredible.
So you got close to winning the Olympics for the high jump. That's what it would do. I've never seen anyone get up that high.
Too good. Now, the two Xaviers, though, outdone by Mark Nawangani-Wase, because, I mean, this just put it in the book as try of the year. Yes?
It's freakish. It's try of the century. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
I've never, ever seen anything. This part here where he balances and levitates to keep that foot away from the sideline.
Yeah.
Fair dinkum.
I was watching this in my lounge room, and I said to my wife and children, at some point, some part of his body or the ball had to have gone out.
Yeah.
Had to
have gone out.
He levitates. He actually levitates. While Burton's got hold of his back leg, he actually levitates to keep that right foot off the ground, then kicks it and gets it inside inch perfect.
Yep. The kick was special, right? But even the regather, the ball was outside of the touching goal line. Like, he actually had to bring that in. It was inches off the ground and then place it in the...
The placing in the kick was incredible because he had to miss the corner post. If he hits the corner post, it's dead in goal.
Yeah.
So he's had to... And the corner post is half leaning in a little bit. So he's had to get it over that. Then he's had to get himself back in play. Incredible.
Could watch it over and over.
What about the three tries? Xavier, and Nawangani-Wase. Yep. We didn't have names like that back in the day.
Smith and
Commentating
Jones.
was so easy back then. We just had Billy Smiths. And
Is that's try of the year?
Yeah.
Nothing's going to beat that?
that's try of the century.
Yep,
No one will ever beat that. It wins every year.
Yes.
You're now playing for the Nawangani-Wase try of the year.
Oh, too good. Your Tab
I'll
Top
get
3.
named after him now.
A special one tonight, tries of the round. Stay with us. We wrap things up here on 100% Footy right after the break. The 12th round of the National Rugby League. Jemmy, tips, please.
No. I'm going on strike.
You're boycotting.
Yeah, well, you never asked me. Now that Cameron Smith's gone, you want to ask me? I'm not going to do it.
I'm asking you.
Bulldogs.
Then?
Eels.
Then?
Warriors.
That's 2v3, that Sunday match. Who would have
Okay.
thought, Gus?
Sea Eagle and Warrior.
We all know what you're thinking.
Hey,
as well.
He didn't ask. Bulldogs.
Sea Eagle and Warrior.
He's got a tick.
Well, we know who's tipping. It's like asking who's tipping in
Maybe
Origin.
tips Dolphins, a good story. He went against his team.
We're done.
Anyway.
Isn't Cameron lucky? He's already left
See ya.
to get that flight home. Thank you, Michael.
See you,
Lots
Jill.
of scuttle
What are you
tonight,
two
mate.
gibberers going on about?
The show's over. Thank you, Gus.
Hard to get good staff, everyone.
It is.
Really hard to get
Bring
good
it on
staff.
this time next week. We'll be coming to you 100% Footy from Suncorp Stadium ahead of the Origin Series opener. Bring it on, baby. Bye-bye.
This has been another presentation from Nine's Wide World of Sports.